Okay, these are the instructions for the enzyme portion of the lab. On your table, there's a bucket that says enzyme, and this has the supplies that you need. There are 5 beakers in here. If you're going to get those out, line them up. Supplies that you notice that are already on the table, there's a bottle of hydrogen peroxide, a beaker of water. The vinegar you're going to get out of the pH lab bucket. You're going to need that for this one. Also, you have these little weigh boats, and these are our potatoes for today. You'll have some potatoes, but we don't have any today. And you have a graduated cylinder. The first thing that you're going to do is number your beakers using the wax pencil that's in your bucket, 1 through 5. You don't have to mark on it really hard, just enough to know which one's which beaker. And then when you're done, you will use your paper towel to wipe that number off. So those are numbered 1 through 5. Okay, following your instructions on your procedure, you're going to put different solutions in the beakers. Beaker 1 is going to have 20 mils of water. Here's our graduated cylinder. So I'm going to pour 20 mils, and the graduated cylinder should always be flat on the table, and you should be eye level. So you'll pour 20 mils of water in. Okay, that's almost exactly 20 mils. If you happen to get too much, do not pour back into the master container. You would pour your extra water out into the sink. So I'm going to pour this into beaker 1. Beakers 2 through 5 will have 20 mils of hydrogen peroxide. Okay. When you have finished measuring the hydrogen peroxide, you will rinse out the graduated cylinder. Now you're going to measure 10 mils of vinegar into the graduated cylinder, and that will be poured into beaker number 4. When you have finished with that, make sure you rinse out the graduated cylinder again. Okay, now we're going to start measuring the potatoes. This is an electronic balance, and some of you may have never used one of these before. The way this works is that you press and hold the on button until it comes on. Okay, when it does, you see zeros, and in the bottom right you see a G, which represents grams. If it's not set on grams, you will press this button until you do see a G in the bottom right. These are called weigh boats. We don't put things directly onto the scale because it'll get nasty and all messed up, so we use a weigh boat. We're going to put that on there. Notice that the weigh boat weighs 2.3 grams. I don't want the weight of the weigh boat, so I'm going to press on, and it changes it back to 0. That's called tearing. So you will have potatoes on your table that day, and you'll cut a small piece and you will measure it. We're looking for around 10 grams. Notice this only weighs 3.9 grams. Okay, but you'll get a measurement of yours, and then you'll put that on your data table to know how much it weighs. So you want all 5 of your potatoes to be roughly the same size. I'm going to take this and put it in front of beaker number 1, letting me know that that's my first potato. I'll put another weigh boat on. Notice it goes back to 0. And then I'll add another piece of potato of roughly the same size, and continue until I have 5 pieces of potato all lined up in front of my beakers. On your instructions, it tells you that beaker and potato number 3 will be cut into fourths. So I'm not going to cut this, but your potato that you have here, you will have a scalpel to use to cut this into 4 equal size pieces. Okay, so now you have your solutions ready and your potatoes are ready. One of the things that you're going to be doing is timing the bubbling that happens in the beaker. So here's a stopwatch, and here are instructions for how to use it if you never have. In the center is the timer. If yours happens to be set on clock like this, all you do is press the center button and it goes back to stopwatch. The right side is the start and stop. So you press start and you can press stop, and there's the clear. So one person in the group needs to be the stopwatch manager. Okay, the other people in the group are going to be responsible for putting the potatoes over into the beakers, and they all need to go in at the same time. So when the stopwatch person says go, everybody picks up potatoes, puts them over into the beakers. Okay, then you will start measuring the bubbling. As soon as one stops bubbling, you're going to say stop. The timekeeper is not going to actually stop it, but he's going to tell you the time at which you said stop, and you'll record that on your data table. So if it stopped after 6 seconds, you would say stop. the timekeeper says 6 seconds, and you record that on the data table. And you continue until you have all 5 of them. If one of them looks like it's not going to stop bubbling, then you eventually just say, okay, we're going to call it and let that be it. Then on your data table, there's a place for bubbling rank. You will start with the one that bubbled the least, and that's number 1, all the way up to the one that bubbled the most, and that's number 5. Then for cleanup, what you will do is take the solid pieces of potato out of the beakers. You can use your hands since you have on gloves. Put those solid pieces in the garbage. You will pour the solutions down the drain. They are safe to go down the drain. And you will rinse it out really good. Okay, you can take your finger and kind of swish around in there just a little bit. All pieces of potato in the garbage. The weigh boats can be used again. So we'll gather all of these supplies. Get you a paper towel to wipe the numbers off of the beaker. It comes off pretty easily. And all of these supplies go back into your buckets.